it's really about a fight over money, and this person had a child you believe is yours. You've never questioned it. You've never got a DNA test, but you believe it's your son. You've raised this boy for 10 years.
Absolutely.
And now you're going to be made to pay for it, even though you're not allowed to see the child. Is that essentially what you're saying?
That is essentially what I'm saying.
Does that seem unfair that you don't get to spend 50% of every month with your son, but you have to pay her
Absolutely.
to alienate the son from you?
Absolutely.
Is this what you enlisted in the Navy for, to defend America for?
No, absolutely not.
Does this make you want to join the military and defend America again?
No, it absolutely does not.
Can you understand where if you do this to 1 million men in the military 1 million times a year, how this would create a nation that will not defend itself?
Absolutely. I saw at least 10 different soldiers when I was in the military that were exceptional soldiers. Typically, the scenario was the wife had affairs, etc. When they decided, okay, that's it, we're getting a divorce, and the wife goes, well, he was emotionally cruel. The military destroyed them. They would get out of the military. They would make them go to classes every single day. You know, they were guilty. Make them write on paper how they did this abuse that they didn't do. And if they said, I didn't do it, well, you're just, ignoring it. I saw at least 10 exceptional soldiers that are out of the military and will never go back in the military.
Is this good for America?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Does this make you want to join the military and defend America again?
No, it absolutely does not.
Can you understand where if you do this to 1 million men in the military 1 million times a year, how this would create a nation that will not defend itself?
Absolutely. I saw at least 10 different soldiers when I was in the military that were exceptional soldiers. Typically, the scenario was the wife had affairs, etc. When they decided, okay, that's it, we're getting a divorce, and the wife goes, well, he was emotionally cruel. The military destroyed them. They would get out of the military. They would make them go to classes every single day. They were guilty. Make them write on paper how they did this abuse that they didn't do. And if they said, I didn't do it, well, you're just, ignoring it. I saw at least 10 exceptional soldiers that are out of the military and will never go back in the military.
Is this good for America?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So, essentially you're saying Health and Human Services from the federal government pays bounties, federal bounties to your county and state to help the mom get reimbursement, but the money's really used by the county is what's happening here. And for that reason, the judges don't want to find you innocent. They don't want to find you as a competent parent,
right.
And neither does a caseworker, because they all feed off the extra money, not just the money you pay, but the money that comes from the federal government.
That's right. And it's kind of funny, they can exceed, if they take the money straight out of your check, they can exceed, if you declare bankruptcy, huge amounts of money, they can only take 50% of your take-home pay, I believe it is. They can exceed that. And all they have to do is put a number on the line that it can exceed it to, mine it says 65% of my income. But they can pretty much put whatever number they want there.
Before we did this interview, have you ever thought that voting for Democrats and voting for Republicans might be just throwing gasoline on the fire of injustice?
Well, it's very much been a situation, I've always kind of had, a view that there was only the two parties. Until recently when I looked at this, I didn't even know there was a Libertarian Party.
Till when? Last week? Last month?
A month or two ago.
So when you contacted me, that's the first time you ever heard of the Libertarian Party?
I believe so, yes.
Does that sound like maybe there's some media bias there? Don't you think?
Absolutely, there's media bias, probably for the same reasons. You've got the Democrats that have a lot of the social support money structure. You've got the Republicans that have a lot of the corporate money support structure. Neither one of them really cares about the bottom line father. In fact, typically I think the Democrat says, well, you need to support your child. It doesn't matter whether she's using that money to build additions to her house. You're not allowed even to ask them to justify why they need that amount of money.
And you're never getting the counting of what your money was spent on, do you?
Well, I happen to get an accounting simply because when I pick up my son, I see all the nice new additions to our house.
No, but I mean, you don't get an actual physical statement.
No, you're not allowed to even ask for it.
Right. Are you going to consider voting for somebody other than the Democrats that have created the system and the Republicans that have co-sponsored this system?
Actually, I have. And looking at this, there was a paper I picked up while I was here that specifically had to do with fathers' rights. And to know that a party is interested in that, I mean, that's definitely something I'm going to be looking into. I don't feel that either one of the other parties.
But what if they say the Libertarian can't win your state house race, they can't win your U.S. Senate race, they can't win the presidential race, they're not in the debates? What would you rather do? Vote for somebody who can win, who's not going to do anything to help you?
No, any more than, you know, with the courts going into it, I know when it comes to my children that there's no way I'm going to win. There's too much bias already built in. It doesn't stop me from going and fighting. It's what I have to do. And when it comes to the political side, it's the same thing. Very
good. Thank you for this interview. Can you spell your name for me?
Yes, my first name is Joshua, J-O-S-H-U-A. My last name is Ehrenberg, E-H-R-E-N-B-E-R-G.
And do you agree to publish this on television, allow me to release this and publish this broadcast and rebroadcast on for television?
Absolutely. And I'd like to thank you on behalf of every other father that I know that's been put in this situation for being interested and willing to do so.
Fourth decree said what?
That I had him 50% of the time and she had him 50%. This was out of Florida. And she had him 50% of the time and that we didn't have to pay child support back and forth. And I thought that that was an incredible thing that, you know, that they were able to do that. Of course, I found out afterwards the reason why is she wanted to sign away custody but not have to pay child support. And that structure was absolutely supportive of what that allowed her to do.
So she actually got out of paying child support by agreeing to 50% placement of the child. Then she lets you raise him for 10 years because she didn't want to be bothered.
With the specific, and I've got it in her handwriting, specifically, as long as I do not ask for child support, as long as she still doesn't have to pay any money.
Do you have that with you?
No, it's filed with the courthouse.
I believe you. So would you favor a law that required 50% placement of the child with each parent, and while they have them, they pay their child support by taking care of the child? When they don't have them, they don't have to pay child support. Would you favor that?
Absolutely, I'd favor that. When I raised him for 10 months of the year and she wouldn't pay support, that was fine with me. It was about my child, and I was able to do that. And I think in that situation, if the state, if it was a law that it was 50 and 50, if because of a person's job or whatever else it needed to be modified, it could be. But it wouldn't be a financial, it wouldn't be a paycheck that was being gone after. It would really be the best interest of the child.
Has religion played any part of this? Is she a different religion than you? Is she a Catholic and you're a Methodist, or has that ever been an issue?
No, not really. She's pretty much, she claims to be a Christian. I have serious doubts with some of the things. I mean, you don't go into a court and lie. I can see her lying about me, but even her own son lying about him to the court.
Okay.
That's not something.
Do you go to church every Sunday?
No, I do not.
Do you have any strong religious feelings?
I was raised Christian, and I'm a very spiritual person, but I don't necessarily like organized religion per se.
So religion was never an issue between the two of you?
No.
That's never been a thing. Okay.